I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me, and what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability, they want the credibility.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to Flame's Pyro Art for beginners and beyond, and welcome to the members of the study group. Let me just pause that YouTube so we don't get any conflictions with the video. So today I wanted to come in, and we were discussing with Judy about the muzzle of our wolf. Now we're looking at the offside of the muzzle. Let me just get my reference photo up. Okay, so on our wolf here we have a little bit of dark fur tailing off down the side of that. If you imagine on this muzzle there's a far side to it, like there is this front side on the opposite. There is exactly the same, except from we can't see it. And there's a lot of white fur here in this gap that I'm pointing out with my large spade shader. So what we need to do is pop this side of the muzzle up, so that negative wood burning again comes into play. So we look here at this far side where the eye area comes in. That also needs attention, because the fur sort of like breaks off up around that area. I know I've put like a channel at the moment and there's white there that looks a bit strange, but that white is going to be lightly shaded with fur. But for today's exercise I wanted to talk about this offside of the muzzle. So even though the hair we see on the wolf is white, mainly over here, it's got a big white patch, but there is a little shaded area, and so we want to use that shaded area to pop this muzzle out. So we think just about the way the fur would be actually going, you know, on the far side past this snout, we know it would be going down and out. So we ignore the whiskers and we work up to our imaginary borderline, and we negative burn the fur in. And if I turn my board sideways, it's much easier to get at, and it gives you a better perspective of what you're doing. So it's good to switch the board sideways for this little part of the adventure. And we're only looking at short strokes because there's a big patch of white, but we want to really get this muzzle like popping forward from this far side of the face. It's a crucial element. So I've got my heat setting at just over 3 on the Optima, which is again a medium heat. And I will just gradually layer up what would be seen on our wolf. Now over here is an interesting part. Here where on this eye break there is a step down. Right here we have a step. This all needs filling in as well, all this. Just hadn't got round to it yet. But this break here is quite a crucial one as well, because what it is telling us is the front of the face, like this sort of area where the front of the face is breaking off and dropping away down to another level. When everything we do with pyrography, we're looking at setting different levels, different like tiers, if you like. I like to look at them as like different tiers. And so we're dropping a tier here. And depending on how dark you go, can determine how big a drop you want to make. If you went super dark there, then it would look odd, because you would like be saying, I'm coming out here and then I'm just plummeting off, which wouldn't look right. It wouldn't flow. So there's a balance to be had. That's why using this medium heat is crucial for this part, because we want to just gradually, lightly build our way to the required shading. I'm just looking at my reference photo. Obviously we're never gonna make the piece look a mirror image of the reference photo. You know, it's just not happening. We're not going to get every strand of hair that the photo shows. There's no point stressing about that too much. We're just mainly using it for like a guidance purpose, to create our own vision of a wolf. Every one of our wolves will look completely different to each other, I can guarantee it, because we all have our own styles and, you know, our own creative mind. Every creative mind is different. If you want to add a little bit of like detail when you've put your shading down, if you just move slowly and carefully, you can add a little detail to the fur. On this part we don't want to rush. Think about now, when we're getting down to this area, which direction that fur would be travelling in. It would be travelling down here, on the angle now, wouldn't it? It'd be on the diagonal. And we need this little dark area to bring forward this muzzle. This is where the fine balancing act comes in, because we know we've got a lot of white hair in there, which makes things a little trickier. Whereas if it was all a darkly coloured wolf, it would be so much easier to do this part. Now I'm looking at my reference and I can see here is an area where white hair drops away, and there's another like deeper recess. But that's something I want to talk more about in depth. Let's swing back a minute and have a look. We'll use many different angles, you know, swing our boards around to different angles so we can get different perspectives on this part. And a white dog is never white. White dogs are so much easier to do than a coloured dog, because with a coloured dog you have to keep layering up until you reach the colour, whereas with a white dog you're just really shading underneath the clumps of fur, so it's so much easier as a white dog. Now breakpoint usually comes around eye level, doesn't it? You know, in between the eyes usually is our break, where the muzzle comes up and then breaks off, going up the head on the slope, and then it slopes off again. Now I went a bit dark with this area, and so I'm going to have to just add a top level of detail, like quite darkly, because of how dark I've gone. I went a little too dark with it for my liking, and I can't add that super fine detail that I wanted unless I get my micro skew out, which I will be doing. Always like to go OTT. To push ourselves to see how far we can go. So this hair we're burning at this very second is part of the face. Nothing to do with the muzzle. The muzzle drops away. This is negative burning beyond the muzzle. Because I need that darkness to bring this all forward. I need to push all this area back. And ideally, once you've got some shading down, work some slow strokes to just try and add a little bit of detail to the fur. You've got your base shading down, just try and then put like a top layer of some detail fur. Now there was a thing I want to talk about as well, which was about darkness, going dark with our wood burning. Now when I started pyrography, excuse me while I have a drink, I was scared to go dark. I was really scared of going dark. You know, everything I did was really light. And I just had this fear of going too dark, and I was just way too light on everything I did. Now with pyrography, we need to go darker to create that pop. So whatever your mind is telling you not to go dark, you must go in areas, you must go that bit darker than what even the reference is telling you. That's the way we really create the pop, which is what we're after. We want this muzzle to stand out. Now there's a super fine bit of detail here which may be no good for this pen, so I am going to switch over to the micro skew for a moment. I've got it set up on my other cord. Let's just put that pen out of the way for a moment. So there's this little area of fur here next to the eye, and this is what for some reason my pen just switched itself right down to number 1 when I never touched it. That's strange. Gonna have to let this pen heat up for a minute. The micro skew is for what it says, micro detail. I was toying with making the whole wolf with a micro skew, as a mega marathon, but I decided to talk myself out of it, luckily. It would have looked awesome doing it, the whole thing with a skew would have been amazing. Because just imagine the level of detail you could go into with a skew. Wow, you could really create something super special. Well, for areas like this now, this is a great tool to use. And then this is going over the top. You know, you don't have to do this. This is just because I like to push my boundaries, test myself, and reach that little bit further as a challenge to myself. Sorry, I've just got to finish this drink as well. You get a dry mouth when you're talking. I've been doing a TikTok session as well this morning. Okay, we're all good. Sorry about that. So if we move our skew slowly, this is at heat setting 3 and a 3 and a little bit, which is burning quite hot if I move slowly. So I'd say it's, again, it's a medium high if you were to move slowly with this pen, but that's what I want it to do, because I just want to add just little bits of detail to the fur if possible. Get yourself on the right angle as well with the skew, so you can just move straight up. You certainly don't want to be going like fighting the grain of the wood with a skew, because it will cut your board very easily, indent it. You need to be very gentle with a skew. They're quite sharp and they can very easily just gouge into your wood, so you do have to be gentle with them. But as I've said in previous videos, there is a lady who makes 3-dimensional art that is absolutely amazing on coat buttons with these micro skews. So that is the level of detail you can go into with one of these. So if you haven't got yourself a micro skew, definitely look into purchasing one, because they do come in very handy. There might be tiny bits of like highlights you want to show in an eyeball, and all your other pens are too big, you know, to get into those tiny gaps. And here's Mr. Skew, who can get into those gaps. He's got it. The Optima does two versions. There's this one. This one is called just the micro skew small. No, sorry, the micro rounded skew, I think. No, I'm going to say it's a micro skew small. The other one, the other skew, I'm not very happy with. I bought the smaller version and I'm not really too pleased with that one. So this was a skew that I prefer. It has a slight, it goes straight and then a little line shooting off and then going off in that way. You may be able to see it when I zoom in on the video. I want to switch back again. Because I'm looking at the fur now, and let me just zoom in. And if we think, remember under this side the hair goes sideways and down. On this side it does the same. It runs off sideways to the like sort of edge of the front of the face. If you think about, you know, round the eye there's the front piece and then it drops away. So the fur is travelling off here towards our side drop off. I mean, this black bit actually does angle a little more than what I had it at. And then with your micro skew, you could put some really dark hair in and show that you've stepped off to a different tier. You know, you're now going down the side, but you're also you're still building up mass, but you're lower than this front portion of the face, because this is a higher spot. Then round the eyes area is like sort of the second highest spot, and everything else is like pushing back and around. We've had some torrential downpours this morning. The weather can't make its mind up in the UK. The English, we love to talk about the weather. Probably our American friends will know all about that. The English are weird and talk about the weather all the time. Because the seasons have gone. The seasons have disappeared. When I was a kid, there's a saying, when I was a lad, summer was summer, and it was guaranteed sunshine for the summer holidays. Winter was winter. You had snow 4 foot deep. Spring was lovely. You know, you had your spells of rain, but springtime was always on dot, and the renewal of all the growth of plants and bulbs and everything, that magical season. I love spring. Now the seasons seem to have gone. Anyway, enough about the weather. We're here to discuss pyrography art. So my eyebrow here, because remember they all have these eyebrows, I need to add detail to my fur, and this skew is going to allow me to do that. Because I know which direction the fur is moving and it's moving along and around. So even though you've like shaded, you can actually still put detail in if you do it carefully and slowly. You can still add, you know, fur detail in there. That'll obviously need more work yet. But then let's look at our reference, and I notice straight away where the nose is, go up to about here and go straight across. I can see a dark line here. And that's telling me that there's a breakaway coming. And if you look at your reference picture, if you zoom in, you'll see it. So at this moment, this fur, so I'm not fighting the wood, sorry, see how easy it indents. This fur is travelling in this direction. But then when I get to this marker, my fur starts to drop away. And there is this little area that goes just past the nose. It will need a little bit of refining and fluffing, but that's another good marker to set us off on our journey down. So we can use our skew also on the negative burning, and a good little thing we can do is utilize it now. You know, with our white muzzle, we can get up really tight to it, and we know a muzzle isn't going to be perfectly like glass rounded. You know, it's fur. So let's negative burn. Just let's sort of a little bit roughly. You know, we don't want to be absolutely clean. We can just add that little bit of depth here and there. Sorry, I always have to move the camera because I'm never sure if I'm showing you on camera what I'm doing. And I'm going to follow this with a micro skew for a minute or two. I'm itching to get into this longer hair with you, but patience is a virtue, and I must stay patient. And right now my goal is popping this muzzle out. Again, here we've got that, you know, the area of the mouth, the underneath of the mouth. We can use our micro skew to get up near the edge of it. I wouldn't go right up tight at the moment because I might want to shade out this inside bit of fur a bit, so I'm just going to leave a little gap. And I'm going to keep following this fur around now. This part that I'm actually burning now is the fur way beneath the mouth. But just at its very start point, I'm going to put it dark. And then I'll blend out. For those of you that don't know what blending is where, say, we have a dark tone and we gradually take that dark tone and make go lighter and lighter and lighter until it lightens off. We use blending a lot in pyrography. or blending on everything. Everything has to be blended so it's all smooth and tells a story of where the fur's running off to. I said this is all way under the chin. I put myself a graphite marker line in there, which is going to signify there's a clump of fur around here somewhere. So because I don't want to get into that at the moment, I'm going to ignore it. Otherwise I'll go off on a tangent. But here still, we're still way beneath this mouth. We're working way back. Hopefully still got me on camera okay. And with a micro skew, we still need to layer. As we get more comfortable with using it, as I become more comfortable with it in my hand, and I'm getting more comfortable with how it wants to burn, I can begin my layering process. Like I said, this is going into super detail. You don't have to do this. This is just my passion. I love to go into as much detail as I possibly can and just push myself and see if I can reach new heights. We never know how far we can climb until we try. And they say God loves a trier, so he must really love me. So up here is an important little area. If we get in there, right up tight against the edge of the muzzle, only for a small little area, but there we can see we're starting to bring that muzzle forward. As you can see how I've shaded there, the muzzle is lifting now and this area is pushing back, and as we keep working this area and leave this light, this will all push back and that muzzle is going to sit forward and proud. So that's a little bit more about how we create more depth with our muzzle. This was to do with the offside of our wolf, and still looking at a little bit under the chin. We're still darkening under that chin because we're not there yet at the darkness required. I'll just show you quickly before I end the session. Here in this recess we have is the darkest point of under the chin, because of the way the dip is. So this area is really dark because it's way under the chin. And remember, there's a saying from Darrell Tank, the pencil artist, from the 5 pencil method: where there is less light, it must go darker. And so we think about it under the chin, where there's shadow and everything, and the darkness where there's no light coming from underneath there, it must go darker, and then we will blend out into the light. But to start with, it is really dark under there. Don't go black because we don't want to overdo it yet until we see how everything evolves, and then we can set our final tonal values once we see more of the picture. That's where I say with the eyes, I haven't finished the eyes yet because I haven't got to my final tones. My eyes aren't finished. My nose is far from finished. So I hope that gave you some insight into the far side of the muzzle, and in the next lesson we're going to start looking at some of this whiter hair and expanding out. So I'm going to keep working just the higher areas, and just so I can get some shape to the top of the head. And in the next lesson, we'll look on expanding out. But for now, get that muzzle popping out, and ideally with your micro skews or your smallest pen, just get a little bit of detail in there. I mean, I could go for hours with you, but I know your attention spans wouldn't want to sit through hours of me wood burning. So I try and keep it as short as I can, but it's not easy to keep them short when you've got such a passion for something and you want to share your passion so keenly with everybody that it's hard to keep your videos short. But I shall stop there. Okay, so thank you everybody for watching today. I appreciate you all so very, very much. I hope some of what I've discussed today resonates with you and maybe helps you out a little with how to, make a more three-dimensional art. And if you have any questions, or you would just like to leave me a comment, even if you just want to say hello, that would be amazing, as I don't receive many comments on my videos, and comments is what helps the videos to be shown on YouTube. So if anybody could leave me a comment, I would be extremely grateful. I'd be extremely grateful for just a few likes as well. That would be awesome. It just gladdens my heart as well to know that people are watching, people are enjoying and maybe learning some things about pyrography from me. Okay, so take care everybody, have a great day, happy pyroing. Study group members, keep working on your pieces, and I'm loving what I'm seeing off the members of the study group. They are such a talented group of pyrographers. You can join us by going onto Facebook, search for Pyrography for Beginners and Beyond by Flames Pyro Art, request to join us, and then you can ask to join our free study group where we chat a bit more in depth on Messenger and share knowledge. Okay, take care everybody, thanks for watching, much love.
The day to breathe, need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky, you know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making